Okay. It'll be nice when football actually starts. Here goes. Since the Arch Manning hype, theories, and what-ifs has reached the point of being an acid trip. I've never done acid. Maybe many of you do acid, but it feels like an acid trip. Here's what I'm going to do, and please follow me. I know the people that check out YouTube listen for like 26 seconds. I don't know what your attention span is, but just pay attention to everything I'm about to say. I'm going to pour some gas on the insane Arch Manning hype. The entire media world is drooling, and that's not an exaggeration. And it seems like the only reasonable person right now seems to be Arch Manning himself. So I'm going to say it this way. And since we're going to do this, and since it is the thing to do, I'm going to come at it from a different angle and give it a chance. I'm going to pour gas on the Arch Manning hype, but I'm just going to pour gas in a different way in a different place. The theories, and these are theories, and they're interesting unless and until he plays himself out of the conversation. I'll say that again. See, you get to do this thing, and the hype is crazy, and it's fun, and all that stuff. You get to do this stuff until and unless he plays himself out of the conversation. So Archie Manning tells Texas Monthly that Arch Manning, who has played all of 2 games, started 2 games against bad teams, is staying at Texas. Now, okay, I think you have to say that until you're not. You probably should say that until you're not. But let's say he's right, okay? Just work with me on this. Let's say that he's right, and it does make some sense. I mean, look, the guy's played, he's thrown 90 passes, he's played 2 games, started 2 games at Texas, and I do think this. The Texas offense, whatever you see in August and September and throughout the season, I think it's a better offense a year from now. I mean, I think it's a really good argument to make. Man for man, it's a better offense a year from now. I think they're probably a year off from being at their best, certainly offensively. But I bring this up because here's a Yahoo headline. Remember, I'm going to pour gas on this in a different way. Yahoo headline this morning, because Yahoo was now dedicating entire sections of Yahoo Sports to Arch Manning stories and Texas. It's beyond drooling. It's almost an obsession to this point. It says, what will Arch do? ? Why Arch Manning's next move could reshape both college football and the NFL. It says, with its bottomless war chest and cinematic Steve Sarkeesian crafted identity, Texas has now elbowed its way to the top rungs of the college football hierarchy. Manning's unique blend of arm talent and potential, fair, hype and lineage has already sent NFL front offices buzzing. By the way, I don't know that I believe that, but okay. All these factors combine to make Arch Manning's decision to turn pro one of the most consequential questions in recent football history. Oh, that's dramatic. Okay, but let's play along. All right, everyone likes to do it, and I'll play along with this. Consequential decisions in recent history. So, okay, and the issue is pretty simple. That is, if you were to think he was to be a top pick or a high pick, would he go? So let me add the extra layer. This is where I'm going to pour gas in a different way. I'm going to add an extra layer. The issue of him being the top pick or near the top pick has this extra layer that I'm going to introduce. I'm not saying it's what I do or what I would suggest, but I do think I can make an argument that the buzz works on some owners. Owners, bad ones, that run bad teams in the NFL, get caught up in the sex appeal and the hype. So hear me out. The extra layer to this is not just him making a decision, if he even has one, when he would make that decision. The next layer is his coach. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting it for an NFL franchise. And I'm not saying it should happen. But what I am suggesting is a scenario that I could see if things fall into place right away, knowing, okay, again, you YouTube commenters, please listen to the full thing. that if things fell the right way, knowing how some NFL owners think, my argument isn't insane. It's not crazy. What I'm suggesting means that Texas needs to win big. Okay, there's a lot of ifs here, but everything right now is ifs. Texas would need to win big. If they were to get a trophy with Arch Manning at quarterback, what I'm suggesting is not all that crazy for some owners. If you say, well, Jeff, and I don't blame you for saying this. Well, Jeff, they haven't won a championship in 30 years. And this kid has started 2 games against awful competition and thrown less than 100 passes. I'd say you're being reasonable, and I'd say you're probably right. I don't blame you for that take, but that's not the world we're living in right now. We don't live in a reasonable world. My industry is not reasonable about anything about Texas at this point. So nothing is reasonable and right in the media world today and how it is obsessing over Arch Manning. It's as if he's a famous boy band. It's really reached that point. But understand the context of this. Because if some things were to happen, if everything that people project, everything that people hope for, if everyone wants this boy band to hold a trophy, I'm telling you what an NFL owner might just think. And I think there's a few layers to it. So a lot of NFL owners, usually owners of bad teams, okay? They're impulsive and they are quarterback obsessed. Fans are quarterback obsessed. It's all people talk about. It's all people care about. Blocking and tackling doesn't exist to most people. And to quite a few NFL owners, they are impulsive and they really are quarterback centric. Owners seem to think that they are a great quarterback away from being the Eagles or a great quarterback away from being the Chiefs. They see what Jaden Daniels did in Washington. And they see what he did to that franchise, which is impossible not to see. It is remarkable. And they think, if I could get a guy like that, if I could get that guy, if I could get that kind of player, that'll be my franchise. And, you could understand why owners would think that way. I mean, it's the most important position in sports, and Jaden Daniels has taken what Mahomes and Hurts and the Burrow and the others have done, and he just took it and put it on steroids and said, if you get it right with a quarterback, look what happens to you. So the college game today, just so we can compare these two things, because I'm going to make the argument. The college game today is about selling and buying teenage mercenaries. Actually, you can add their family and friends to that as well. That's what the college game is today. That's what you do. You don't design plays that much. You really are buying and selling and reselling football players, teenagers that have become mercenaries in the sport. But the NFL, unlike college football today, is the ultimate football scientist challenge. Your job is football and nothing but football. If you think you're a football scientist and you want to maximize your talent as a football scientist, there is no better place, there is no other place than the NFL. College football is, a little bit of scientists, but mostly money and retaining guys who want to be mercenaries. Okay? So in the NFL, though, it's all about you go to work and you try to create the right mix of talent and strategy every single week. It is a brutal grind. And every week, when you pull that off, you only can get the smallest margin. It's a razor-thin margin in the NFL. That's how tough it is. But bottom line is the NFL is the ultimate challenge of a football mind. If I owned a team, I wouldn't hire a college coach. Okay, I wouldn't. It's a completely different game, a completely different world. I wouldn't go there. But that's not what this is about. I don't know Steve Sarkeesian. I don't. But he's got a good resume, a very good resume. He's got NFL experience. He's worked for 2 of the best to ever coach, Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. 2 great football scientists, by the way, that add to that sort of NFL resume. So I can see how any college coach, and I do understand this, I can see how any college coach would want the challenge of the NFL. It is not a great lifestyle. But it's the greatest challenge if you want to be a football mind that exists. Now, you're likely to fail. Steve Sarkeesian has the best job You can now tell by the media drooling over Texas, the hype of Texas, the obsession now with the money and the power and the prestige and all the stuff that they have in a sport that turned into a money game. They're the biggest kid around. And he's got the best job in football, arguably the best job in sports. The money is giant. You have anything you want at your disposal. The pressure, I get tired of people saying, oh, the pressure. You've got guaranteed contracts paying you close to $12 million. It's not like the media covering Texas is like New York ripping the Giants. It's not that tough of a media place. It's really not. It's the best job in football, by far. So the NFL, though, is a terrible lifestyle, a brutal existence, but it is the toughest scientific challenge you could have as a football person. You're probably going to fail, but I could see why a really successful college coach would want the NFL. I can see how a college coach could rationalize, because people are going to scream back at me, well, Jeff, Urban Meyer was among the best to coach the college game, and he was an absolute dumpster fire. You're right. And the next college coach is likely to be a dumpster fire when an owner, follow me, everyone, when an owner gets obsessed, yeah, that coach is probably going to be a dumpster fire too. But that coach is going to rationalize it by saying this. Urban Meyer, he just didn't get it. He didn't understand how it works. I do. Okay? Now, in my opinion, you're following me now? I'm connecting the dots yet on where I'm going with this? In my opinion, at least for now, a deal breaker for labeling Steve Sarkeesian an offensive genius is the mind-numbing play calling sequence he had in the college football playoff semifinal. It is one of the worst series of calls at any level of football, and it's impossible to let go. You do, though. I don't know how you let that go, but you do. You give him a pass on that series for some reason that is beyond me. The media gives him a pass on that series for some reason that's beyond me. To put it in perspective, had that been Ohio State and Ryan Day had done the exact same thing with the ball at the 1 against Texas and Ohio State had lost, he would be in the witness protection program right now. Right? In case you've conveniently forgotten that series, which I am sitting here today saying it would be a deal breaker for me if I'm hiring. But for now, at least. But Texas has the ball first and goal at the Ohio State 1, actually even closer than that. And then they end up, they end up on 4th and long, and their quarterback gets blown up on a sack and scoop and score. It was absolutely idiotic. Okay? Now, I would say this, until that is erased, and it'll take a trophy to erase that, I think, because that was a shockingly stupid series, I'm not a buyer. Let me remove myself again, because I don't think I think like a lot of you. I don't think like a lot of owners for sure. But here it goes. I can see Arch Manning's hype and a Texas championship trophy as appealing to a desperate owner for not just wanting to win, but to get the love of the fans. Owners, remember what I said, especially the bad ones, they're stuck in this cycle of not getting it right. They're stuck in a cycle of, the same franchises do the same stuff over and over again. And those owners have convinced themselves, if I can get the next Jaden Daniels, if I can find the next quarterback, then I'm going to be the Washington Commanders. Everything will pivot. Everything will turn. And you know what they think about? And I can give you plenty of examples of this. They think about quarterback whisperers. If I can get the quarterback and the coach that's the quarterback whisperer, then life for my franchise is going to change. Surely you now see where I'm going. And there's examples of it, plenty of them. My gosh, you have Kellen Moore is in New Orleans. I think he'll end up getting fired, but he's in New Orleans because he's a quarterback whisperer. Cliff Kingsbury, who was a total dumpster fire with the Arizona Cardinals. Why was he hired? Because he was viewed as a quarterback whisperer. Happens all the time. Owners want the player and they want that quarterback whisperer as well. So my point, if we're going to play this game, I think you can add to it. I have no idea what is going to happen and how it plays out. But if Arch Manning and Steve Sarkeesian are holding a trophy together, I can see an NFL owner picking high in the draft. You know, all Yahoo and everybody else is talking about now is Arch Manning going early. What's he going to do? You know, I mean, without only 2 starts. I mean, you know, there are overreactions. But I'm saying I think there's more to it than this. I think there's a lot more to it than this. The value of Steve Sarkeesian to the mind of an owner, if they were to stand there and hold that trophy together, what did I just tell you? It would be, that guy can save my franchise, and that must be the quarterback whisperer. An owner, and bad ones are desperate. They're making a lot of money, but bad owners are desperate. They're bad at what they do, and they think if I can just one guy and one coach, and I make it. Now, there's far more to it than that, but you can see why they think that way. So there you are picking high in the draft, and you think, you know what? I need those 2. Yeah. I mean, Steve Sarkeesian could make an argument. He's got the resume for the NFL. Has he ever said anything about the NFL? I have no idea. I don't know. I wouldn't do it if I own a team, but you could see the scenario. If they were to hold that trophy together, that hype and that look and the mindset, there's going to be an owner that would say, why wouldn't I just have some sort of package deal? Why wouldn't I have the whisperer and the star? And then the other side of it, whether it's Arch Manning or not, whether it's Steve Sarkeesian or not, I could see why a college coach would want it. You've made all the money. You're at a stage in life where, again, the college game is pretty icky. It's pretty mercenary driven. It's not about football science. You are not challenged that much. Most weeks you're playing pretty bad teams. But there is no greater challenge, and he has to know it. Anyone that's been around the NFL knows how tough it is and what a challenge as a scientist it would be. So, Jeff, are you suggesting this is an additional layer to the Manning hype? Absolutely. I am. Yeah. Now, a lot of stuff has to happen. You actually start a game, win some games. And for the 2 of them, it would have to be a trophy. But you can see where I'm coming from. I mean, owners have done it. They just didn't have the 2 of them together. And that's how they think. Some of them. Usually the bad ones. Here's what I want you to keep in mind. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else or you have any sort of issue with the insurance company, I can tell you this from experience. You need DJC Law. And I can tell you, having been a client of theirs, they will do 3 things. They'll take care of every single detail. You'll get peace of mind working with them, and you will get the result you deserve. That's the way it works with DJC Law. Check out teamjustice.com. And you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. Look, the bottom line is, and trust me on this, the bottom line is if you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with the insurance companies for any reason, you need DJC Law. And Dan Christensen and his team of lawyers at DJC Law have a remarkable track record. Go to teamjustice.com or call 512-888-9999. That's 512-888-9999.